everybody. Welcome to Nerd for No Reason. I don't like that. That don't sound good. I thought it was like, oh man, I'm going to try something different. All
What
right,
if
here we
you
go.
started out with a Christmas theme, a little ho ho ho? I don't know.
Ooh, good one. Okay. Ho, 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 everybody. Hello. My name is Santa Claus, and you're listening to the Nerd for No Reason podcast. And their wonderful host. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark.
Hey there, I'm Raven.
And you're going to enjoy this show because it's so wonderful. Merry Christmas.
That was
Oh,
great.
man, that was Santa Claus.
Oh my god. Can you believe Santa came?
I totally
way
can't
here?
believe that.
That's crazy.
That's the greatest thing I've ever done in my life.
Top 10 impersonations?
Top
Mark
10.
Holland.
Yep. You know, there was one time, way back in the day when I was stationed in England, I had a job where I worked in like not a call center, but kind of like this readiness center where we had to be manned 24 hours a day. And I think it was Christmas time, but it was middle of the night in England, and someone was like, "Man, I really wish I knew someone who could call my niece and be Santa Claus." And I was like, "Oh shit, I got you." She was like, "What?" I was like, "Put your niece on the phone." So we call up her niece, who's in like California or something. So it's like 8 o'clock at night. And she was like, "Oh, hey, little Anna," or whatever her name was. "Listen, I got someone very special came by to see me, and he wants to talk to you." So I got on there and was just like, I was basically like the dude from South Park who was like Loch Ness Monsters. Like, I was that guy. I was like, "Oh, well, hello, little childrens. How are you?" And everyone around me was just dying laughing. And at one point, I put the phone on hold, and I was like, "Yo, gotta shut up because I'm losing my cool here talking to this kid." I'm hanging on by a thread. But I laid it on. "Oh, hey, little childrens, how are you?" And tell Santa Claus what you want for Christmas, and you want to see a Loch Ness monster? Yeah, it was the whole nine. So
Very
and
nice.
I loved
Very
it.
nice.
So
That's adorable.
So, hello everybody, welcome to the show. We are in December, which means that we are going to start looking at the year that was 2022. We're going to talk about some of our favorite things this year that we've experienced. And kind of more specifically for this episode, we're going to talk about video games, vidya games, because we like video games around here. And it's been an awesome year for video games, I think.
Yeah, there's been a decent amount of big ones out there that have come out within the year. What were you playing this year, Mark?
Well, I'm gonna save my favorite one for the last. And some of them I might just go like. All right, let me go ahead and talk about the ones that I know were not exclusive to this year, but they came out on PC this year, and that's what I played. The Spider-Man video game that was originally released on PlayStation, and the Miles Morales Spider-Man game. Both of those were released on PlayStation a couple years ago, and they've just recently been ported to PC.
Nice.
Those games are awesome. I consider Spider-Man to be a damn near perfect game. It is a Spider-Man story that is great. It's better than half of the movies that have been put out. It's wonderful. And then they set up the Miles Morales game at the end of the first one, and the second one is an awesome game as well. It's wonderful. First off, and also let me say that a lot of these games that I've played as well, Spider-Man excluded, but some of these games available, like readily available. I play most of my games on Game Pass because I consider that to be a great value, and most of the games I play, I'm like, "Oh, cool, it's on Game Pass. Let me download it and check it out." And then, that's it.
Nice.
So let's see. Another one that was kind of weird, kind of fun, came out this year was Stray, the cat
Oh
game.
yeah,
Did
Stray.
you did you ever get down on any of that?
I never got to play it because I think when it had come out, I might have still been in Lexington for school, but I definitely remember hearing all the hype about it and being like, "Ooh, I want to play that." But I never got around to it because then I found out that it was like a very tiny game.
Yeah, it's my only beef with it, and it is a fun game. It's gorgeous looking,
Yeah.
very pretty game. My only problem with it is that it's not as kind of free roamish as I would like it to be. Like there's a lot of free movement, but it is kind of railroaded a little bit. But it is very fun. I have not completed it yet. I heard there is a point when it starts getting you in your feels, and I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Fair
So
enough.
let's see. There was well, I don't want to say re-release, the release of the Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which if you are a child of a certain age, i.e. Gen Xers, early millennials, elder millennials, I think is what we're called now. And you grew up in that arcade culture of the late 80s, early 90s, then you remember the side-scrolling Ninja Turtles arcade machine, which is the Shredder's Revenge is a perfect representation of that game, except that it plays better. Also, they had a brand new song from the Wu-Tang Clan. Like an official song from the Wu-Tang Clan that plays when you fight Shredder, and it is dope as fuck. So
Love that
it's
for you.
great. Let's see. Lego Star Wars, a new Lego Star Wars movie that was super fun. I thought it was just going to be kind of a reskin of the original Lego Star Wars. It's might as well be a brand new game. It's wonderful. This one right here is another kind of cheat game, but it came out like the campaign for it came out so late last year that I'm just going to go ahead and say that it's a 2022 release, and that's Halo Infinite. I loved Halo Infinite. I thought it was a fun game. Free multiplayer. The story's super fun. I wish that on initial release they would have done co-op campaign. That would have been great. I think if they haven't done it yet, they're in the process of doing it. It's great. A late arriver to some wonderful games that I played, and surprisingly on mobile, Marvel Snap. I don't know how these cats stumbled across a card game that is so simple in its design and yet so fun.
It's a card game?
Yes,
Nice.
and it's simple. It's so simple. Like there's no like you could literally get caught up in a game while you are checking out your groceries, like while you're waiting in line. You can play a game, no problem. Each thing is self-contained. It doesn't, it's a deck. I mean, you build the decks and stuff like that. Super fun. You can pick it up and play as little or as little or as lot as you want. It's great. They released God of War, 2018 version God of War on PC this year. Played that. That's super fun. Ragnarok dropped a couple weeks ago. I don't have a PS5, but I've been watching the playthrough. It's a super great game. It looks like it's super fun to play. I will wait for that PC port.
Fair enough.
Next, my favorite game of the year, by far and away, the game that once I started playing, I was, or at least the one that was released this year, I'll say, was Tunic, which is kind of like a 3/4 shot down role-playing adventure game, kind of in the same spirit of like the old Zelda games.
Ooh.
And it is such a fun game.
Nice.
And it's exquisite. It looks beautiful. The puzzles are fun. It's difficult, but not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, it's a great game. Like if there was one game that I was like, go out and play right now, it would be Tunic. It is wonderful. I'm
Nice.
kind of well. I mean, it was up against God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring, which I did play Elden Ring, but I didn't really like it that much. I got my shit pushed in real quick and was like, "That's enough of that." But I think Tunic was up for Game of the Year as well at Video Game Awards, and to be honest, I'm kind of upset it was up against such heavy competition because I think in a lesser year, it 100% would have won.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That happens. Unfortunate, but that's how the
Yeah.
game plays. Speaking
No.
of the games, did you watch the new release of what's coming up next year?
No, there was one thing that I watched. I stumbled sideways on it on YouTube when I was scrolling through, and it was a Dead Cell Castlevania trailer, and it looked cool. I don't know what the hell's going on in it, but it looked cool. So that was pretty much the only trailer that I saw from
Nice.
the Video Game Awards.
I hopped on Discord to chat with the homies, and they were watching it, and Chris just kept talking about everything that was coming on. 'Cause he was like, "Oh, Raven, come chat with us. Hosier's on there right now," and I love Hosier. So the fact that he was on there, I was like, "Okay, I'll look at that later," because I had just woken up from a nap. But if you don't know, at the very end of the award show, or not the award show, the up and coming games for the year, there was just some random 15-year-old that just walked up on stage, and at the very end he just started saying some crazy stuff, and everyone was like, "What was that?" You need to look.
I heard
you hear
about
it?
this.
Okay.
He said something like, "I want to shout." Did he say something about Bill Clinton?
Yeah. Look it up real quick. I meant to send it to you, but of course, I forgot. But it was all over Twitter. People were being like, "Oh my God, they arrested him." This kid is literally 15 years old, and he just got up there and was like, "I'm gonna just say something crazy real quick." But also, there was a giant orchestra that played, and there was one dude that switched multiple instruments, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, the flute guy!" Because at the very end, when they all stand up to take the bow, dude is over there just hyped. My man is just in the background, just swinging his arms like, "Yeah!" And everyone was just like, "Okay, okay, what's good, man?" I'll have to find that clip for you later. But oh my gosh, make sure you watch the very ending of the up and coming games for the next year. I thought it would be easier to find, but of course not for me.
Well, let's talk about that thing in particular. What games did you see either on the Game Awards or are you most excited about coming out next year?
I know there's a new Kirby game coming out. I think it comes out in February or March, and it looks like it'll be a fun little game. I don't know if you've seen.
Does it look like the most recent Kirby game that came out? That's weird because that would mean really a year after something as big as this last Kirby game.
Was the last one Kirby in the Forgotten Land?
Yeah, that came out middle of the year, I think.
Is that the one that I'm thinking of? Yeah. Let's see. Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Is that the next one?
Yeah, I think so.
Am I okay? Is my brain working?
I don't know.
Never is. Kirby for 2023. Let's see if I'm crazy or not.
I think that sounds right.
Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like it's going to be super cute. It looks like it's going to be a fun time. I remember playing Kirby on other people's Game Boys because for some reason my grandparents wouldn't buy me Kirby. But I always thought it was super cute. Just a fun little guy hanging out. But I'm excited for that. What was the other game that I saw? What games are you excited for? Let me look this up.
Spider-Man 2.
Electric
A sequel
Boogaloo.
to the P. It's going to be on PlayStation 5. I don't know if I'm going to go and do what I've done for the rest of them because I wasn't expecting for them to get ported to PC. So I'm debating on whether or not if I'm going to watch all the walkthroughs or the gameplays of the new Spider-Man game because I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. There is a Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy coming out in a couple months. I think end of January. That looks like that could be very fun. I don't know. I've seen some gameplay footage of it. I like the Harry Potter universe, but I think very much like the Star Wars universe, there's just enough information like involved in the movies and the books where it's just if you get outside of that, people tend to go crazy.
Oh yeah, it's
you
the
know.
Harry Potter Legacy. That's right.
Yeah.
I did
Hogwarts
see
Legacy.
that. It looks like it's going to be really cool.
Yeah. So, one that I'm really excited about, and I think they did the trailer for this at the Game Awards, was Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, which is another wonderful game. I think it might be one of the best Star Wars games out there. I know that's big talk. But yeah, and the gameplay footage looks amazing again. So, but there's only real one correct answer as to like what the most anticipated game next year is, and that's Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. I was going to say that one. Yeah. But I was like, I don't know. There could be anything on Mark's brain.
Listen, I love Breath of the Wild. I have played Breath of the Wild many times. I have, gotten to the point where I'll get to, I'll beat Ganon, and then, you're just doing kind of end game stuff, and then I'll fiddle fart around the end game stuff for a while, and I'll just be like, let's start over, see what happens. I love Breath of the Wild. Every time I have to start a new game over, I've started over 3-4 times now. One time the first time was when I transferred from the Wii U to the Switch, and my only thought was, it wasn't, oh man, now I got to start over. It was, yes, now I get to start over from scratch, from a completely blank slate, and play this again from scratch. How am I going to change like what I'm doing? And I love it. I love that game. So I'm thrilled. I cannot wait to see what they've done, how they modified this world, because it looks like it's the same world. I can't wait to visit all these old places again, see how they've changed, and see what they do with the story. And there's just so much because we don't know anything. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I will take, and I don't do this for anything, but I will take the day off, get it on day one, and play it all day long. I will send my kids to school, and I will play Breath of the Wild all day long.
Hey, they don't have to know what you're doing. It's all
Oh,
good.
no, they already know. I've already told them, like, don't plan on doing nothing for Dad except leaving me the hell alone because I'm going to spend all day playing Breath of the Wild 2.
Fair. Did you know that they're actually going to make a One Piece game that's going to come out next year?
Really?
Yeah, it's called One Piece Odyssey. I'm kind of excited for it. I started One Piece. I haven't made it super far in a hot minute because Chris and I were watching it together, And then, everything just got busy, considering I moved and then, do everything that we do of
Mm-hmm.
just working nonstop. But I do really like One Piece, so I was really excited when I heard that that one was going to come out. I think it should be interesting. I like the look at the graphics on it. Should be cool. But
Is it
I
going to be
also,
like a story game where you follow like the events that's happened in the anime so far, or?
it says that it's going to be like a role playing type game.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And it's supposed to come out like the very beginning of the year. So that should be cool. Kind of
Awesome.
cool. But I don't know if Chris told you this, but I played Resident Evil 4. I think it was 4.
Okay.
Which one was it? I don't know. I played one of the Resident Evils for the first time this year, and I loved it. And then I got into the latest Resident Evil with the big, beautiful vampire lady, which I have still yet to complete because it's on Chris's computer. But I'm very excited to finish that. I don't know if you've ever done the Resident Evils or if you're into those at all.
I haven't. At least not since Resident Evil 2. When I played that on the PlayStation 1 back in the day. But no, I haven't played any of the newer ones. See, here's what I do for new video games that either I plan on playing or I don't play. I don't know. Depends. If it's not like on Game Pass or something, I can like kind of get a hold of. Whatever. I'll be like, oh, well, let me just go ahead and watch a playthrough of it, and then that'll be like the thing that I'll watch. I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour of at a time. As I'm getting ready for bed, or I just got it on as background noise or something like that. So I've watched the whole playthrough of Resident Evil 7. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I haven't done Village yet, even though I want to see big, giant, beautiful, giant zombie woman do her thing, because she's awesome.
Yeah.
Even though I know absolutely nothing about her or any of her folklore or anything like that, she's just a big, tall, beautiful zombie lady.
Of course, of course.
So, yeah, and it's not that, I'm not opposed to scary games or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, sometimes I can't play everything.
I know, I feel you. I think they're fun. I like the scary video games. Like, I feel like if I'm going to play most video games, it either has to be, like, cutesy, like Animal Crossing, something like that, where I'm just like, ooh, I can do whatever. Or if I'm playing, like, real video games, I don't want it to be, like, a lot of like sword action. I'm not the greatest at those kind of games, but for whatever reason, like the scary ones are always just so enticing to me because I just love horror and that style of games, I guess. That's fun.
Yeah. Oh, there is one more game that that I'm looking forward to, and it's actually coming out on Monday when this episode comes out. So if you're listening, go and check out this game. It's called High on Life. It is a first-person shooter by the guys who did Rick and Morty, and you're using aliens as guns, and the guns talk to you, and it just sounds like Rick and Morty characters. Just as you shoot them, I think one of the guns is voiced by JB Smoove, and it just looks. There's a knife with an Australian accent and a foul mouth, who's just like, yeah, let me stab him. It just looks crazy. It looks insane, crazy, just irreverent humor. I'm all about it. I can't wait to play it. Right. And it's on Game Pass, so I can just hit the button and get it.
There you go.
So, all right. Well, let's talk just entertainment. Let's talk top entertainment things of 2022. Because I don't feel like there was a lot of big media moments, but I think everything was just big, big media moments. Uh, One of my Mark favorite things, favorite media that I consumed is I got to go see my favorite band in Atlanta, and it was great. It's a band called Twerp. They are from 1980s future Toronto, and they are basically this kind of electric funk band that wears costume. Picture like a kind of funky disco technic kind of guar,
All
I
right.
guess. They wear the costumes. They play their characters when they're on stage. No one knows what they look like underneath their costumes because they really keep kind of a tight lid on that, which works because they're not really that big of a band. I'm going to sound real hipsterish here, and I'm okay with that. But they are a small
Ooh.
band. But I love their music. They're great. And I got to go see them in Atlanta. It was just the best thing.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but let's see. Just media. We're going to talk about movies next week. Next episode is going to be like a big movie extravaganza as far as I'm concerned because I've been going
There's been
through
a lot of
making
good
lists.
movies that come out this year.
Man, yes. Yes. And plus kind of getting ready for next year's movie extravaganza too because next year's going to be a big movie year. But TV shows, let's talk TV shows. And then I guess we'll get into the other kind of media. I kind of jumping around here. So let's talk TV shows. Raven, what were some
Yes.
of your favorite TV shows you watched this year?
All right. Well, I think we all know what one of the biggest shows that was anticipated for the year was going to be Stranger Things. Stranger Things was a hit for season
Yeah.
4. Uh, Bigger, badder. Finally get to see like Vecna, you know? You got a lot of new characters in this year that were just fantastic, like Eddie.
Eddie was such a good character.
Everyone loves him. Let's be real. We I binge watched that show in like 2 sittings
Yeah.
and just couldn't get enough of it. I loved
We
it. I loved the little thing between Steve and Robin where it's like, oh, she's basically like my child. Where people were like, yeah, Steve is over there trying to push his little girl to get a little girlfriend and stuff like that. And I love that. I thought it was cute.
there's so there's so many good characters on that show, and I'm kind of upset that it's coming to an end. I knew at some point we're going to reach this, but Steve was such a good character. It
He
was
had one of like the greatest evolutions
he
within.
did.
Because he started out as, you know, a little punk that everyone's just like, oh, he's over here just trying to get with Nancy. Blah, blah, blah. There's Steve. And then he just became like such a hero.
He did.
Love that.
Eddie was such a good character. Eddie was. I love how Eddie once he kind of like got in line with the group, you know, and kind of got a grasp as to like what's going on. He was just like, cool, like this is my life now. Let's do it.
Right?
You know, there wasn't a point when he was just like, where he could have easily just said, "Cool, I'm out of here. Like I don't need to be a part of this. I'm going to hang out here in this boathouse. I'll go to jail, whatever." But he was just, "All right, I'm on board."
Yeah.
So,
His little like relationship with Dustin was so sweet.
oh, it was
And then you see Steve over there like, hey, now wait just 1 second. That one's mine. But you got
And now,
to see Eleven and her she kicked ass.
she did.
Oh my gosh. She said screw Vecna. We saw Max. Max got a good role this year
Yeah, she did.
for hers. She did so much, and honestly, that girl acts so hard.
She
because
does.
the part where she sees her brother die, and even
Oh
though
yeah.
they had like the worst relationship, it was still just like so heartfelt that she was just like, even if we weren't the greatest together, like you still meant something to me.
Yeah.
Ugh,
We
that show had me sobbing. I'm not even gonna lie.
we had or we let Alice watch the show for the first time because she has been bugging me for literal years to watch Stranger Things,
Hmm.
and while I was fine with it, Mom was not. So I was always like, it's up to your mother. It's up to your mother. You got to whenever she gives the go ahead, you can watch it.
Hmm.
So Mom finally gave the go ahead, and I think it was right after the first part. I think it was right after the first part of Stranger Things, of season 4, or no, yeah, right after the first part of Stranger Things 4. I said go for it, and she, the first season you could binge watch super quick,
Hmm.
but she would go in her room and she would watch it, and then she'd come back out and be like, "Oh my god." After every episode, she binged the entire season up, or the entire series up to that point,
Hmm.
to like in like 3 days. She was on fire.
Nice. Atta
Um,
girl.
and then I was like, you can't watch this when your sister's around. It's too much for her. So we left one day. She stayed home, and me, Kelly, and Amy came in from whatever we were doing, and right at like that scene where, oh, oh, where Mike is giving like that heartfelt speech to Eleven, and like Eddie's dying, and all this sad shit's happened. Spoiler warning, by the way. I don't know. It's been 6 months. Come on.
Right.
If you haven't watched it by now, you're probably not going to, but um, but it's like that. It's that moment, and as soon as I come in and see it, before I come around the corner to see her sitting on the couch, I'm like, oh man, she's crying. I know she is. And sure enough, I come around the corner, she's just ball. Ah! Amy
How
sees
could you
that and
not?
immediately just lights up and starts digging into her. She's like, you suck. Yeah.
What a little pesky
Oh,
sister.
she is. She
I
is.
love that.
But no, Alice loves it. We probably will get Hellfire Club T-shirts.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a wonderful show. I can't wait to see what they do with part 5. It's wonderful.
I
What else
think
you
it's
been
gonna be
watching?
good. I don't know if you heard about this show, but at the very beginning of the year, I watched this adorable little show called Kotaro Lives Alone. And that show replays in my head constantly. It's this little he's like 4 or 5 years old, and he just rents an apartment and just goes about his little daily life. It's supposed to be like super sad, like most people that have watched it are like, "Oh my god, I sobbed during like every episode." But honestly, to me, I was like, "Oh, relatable." Like everyone's just like he's just walking around, trying to walk himself to school, trying to take himself to the bathhouse, making his own meals. He would make like these enormous like meals just for himself. And then there's just like people that live in the apartment building that just fall in love with him, and they basically all just try to become like versions of parents to him. It's just the cutest little show. So
Huh.
if you ever have time, check it out. I think it's only like 8 or 10 episodes. It's only a single season so far.
All
But
right.
that was adorable.
Is it on Netflix?
It is on Netflix.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if you watch Hulu very much, but there
Not
was a
anymore. We got rid
super
of Hulu.
ah, there's a super good show starring Andrew Garfield that's called Under the Banner of Heaven, and he is I think it takes place in, yeah, it takes place in Salt Lake City, home of the Mormons, and it's basically like this family that goes off the rails because of their like religion. And so Andrew Garfield is playing this cop who is very much held by his faith and his family and church and stuff like that. And he does a phenomenal job in it. Like, I know we look at Andrew Garfield and we're like, he's still a little baby. Him Spider-Man. But he blew the water away. He's just phenomenal in this show. My best friend and I like binge watched it so we could be like, that was awesome. That was great. He nails the role. So if you ever get a chance to get back on Hulu, watch it.
Okay. I will absolutely check that out.
What have you been watching?
Let's see. What else? Oh man. Okay, so this one was a surprise hit for me. I was not expecting to like this one as much as I did. Peacemaker, with John Cena, spinoff from the last Suicide movie that James Gunn directed. John Cena to me was the best part of that movie. They gave him a spinoff. It was this. It's basically a Suicide Squad. Let's take these obscure characters, Peacemaker, a few other ones. I mean, they were people from the movie, and they made a show out of it, and it was honestly, it was really good. John Cena was great. Everyone in it was great, and it's very kind of Deadpool-ish humor.
Okay.
But it works. It works. So I think I can see why they just recently gave James Gunn the keys to the kingdom as far as DC films now. I think he is going to sit there and make a plan, and it's going to be, it could very well work, and we'll see. So, just recently I watched the Cyberpunk series, based off the video game on the animated series that's on Netflix. That was pretty fun, a good piece of animated television. I can't really think of any other animated thing that I saw this year that I was like, oh man, this is like this beautiful anime or animation period. Especially in the style of like Cyberpunk, and I say style as in like it looks like the more traditional anime. It's not, everything's not all CG. It's not a CG animated film. It looks like it was traditionally animated there. All the Disney Plus, I don't want to say all the Disney Plus shows, but Obi-Wan was a fun watch. The Book of Boba Fett was a great show, when it wasn't centered around Boba Fett, which is weird. And She-Hulk. I really liked She-Hulk. A lot of people kind of crapped on it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching some Marvel stuff where the fate of the universe wasn't in the balance, or the whole cinematic universe in general wasn't in the balance of the whole thing. I liked it. It was dumb fun, and I want to see more stuff like that. So, a late comer to this list, because I think it just came out last week, was Wednesday on Netflix. This show, very much like Stranger Things, Alice would come out of her room after watching the episode. I didn't even know this show was a thing. She'd come out after every episode and be like, "Oh my God, you're never gonna believe it." And then I started watching it, and then I'd come out and be like, "Oh my God, Kelly, you're never gonna believe it." And then she started watching it. So yeah, it was super fun. Have you seen Wednesday yet?
I have yet to make it to Wednesday. I am at the very end of Hunter x Hunter, so I'm trying to just cram that show in. I've got like a few more episodes, and then I was like, and then we can add a new show
Okay.
to the mixture. But it's on my watch list, I promise. I'm very
Okay.
excited for it. That little girl is such a good actress. Anything
She
that I've watched her in, I love it.
she kills it. I had never seen her before, but man, she knocks it. I mean, everyone knocks it out of the park, but man, she does the damn thing. Very Tim Burtonish. You can tell that he's got his hands all over it, but
You know I
it
love Tim Burton.
it's wonderful. So
Nice.
if this show does not get an Emmy in some way, shape, form, or function, I'm going to be furious. So, but then again, it is going up against Stranger Things season 5. So season
Ooh.
4. So
I think Stranger Things is going to take the cake, let's be real.
I think so. Any other type of media things that you have ingested this year that you want to talk about?
Not that I can think of, to be honest.
All right.
Since we're talking movies next week.
Yeah. I only got one other thing that I really enjoyed this year because it was such an interesting look at the life of a celebrity, and that was the Jeanette McCurdy book, I'm Glad My Mother Died. The iCarly star, Sam, from Sam and Cat, she, her story is fascinating.
So sad.
It's sad.
Oh my gosh.
If you've ever thought to yourself, "Hey, I wonder what it would be like if I was raised to think that the sky is red," even though like everyone around me is saying, or and no one ever just kind of fact checks me or does anything, and I know that's an extreme example, and but you can hear like she was raised in this bubble. And her mom was just such this big influence on her life that she's doing all of these things that she doesn't know that they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wild, wild adventure. And honestly, it gets to a point kind of towards the end where you're like, huh. I wonder what she's going to do now.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to seeing what she's going to do now. I think she just signed like this huge book deal for whatever her next book is going to be. I think it's going to be fiction. But I listened to the audiobook, which is read by her. There were a few parts that got me because as she's reading, you can tell that she starts to break up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh boy, this is a lot. But it's fascinating. I don't know what awards they do for books, but this is the one to beat.
Yeah. I remember it got so much backlash at the very beginning just because people were like, what is this title? Like, why would you say something like that? And then you find out so much about her story, and you're just like, okay, honestly, she could keep the title. Like, yeah. She lived kind of a rough childhood, but
yeah, she did.
good for her to be able to fully embrace everything that happened to her and share it with other people to be like, hey, I know that if you've gone through some trauma, I've gone through some trauma, here are ways that I dealt with it and stuff like that.
All right. There is one thing on our show notes that I am dying to hear about because it's been up there for a while. I want to hear you talk about some Bob's Burgers.
Ooh.
And I know that this doesn't fall in line with our year in review stuff, but
it does correlate to our movie of the week.
Okay.
Which is something I had never seen before. And now I understand why, because I as a young child watching this for Christmas would have been like, this isn't Christmas. We watched Die Hard this week.
We did.
So, I had never seen Die Hard until we watched it for this episode.
Really?
Really, I know. There's a lot of like big movies, especially from like the 80s and 90s that my grandparents like definitely were like, here, shove this into your memory. At least you have watched it. So I get like a lot of references and stuff. But I had never seen it. And the only little bit that I knew of from Die Hard is what I saw in an episode of Bob's Burgers where the son, Gene, and his former little girlfriend both try to put on plays which are Die Hard the Musical. And I was like, I have no idea what's happening for the most bit. But I was like, okay, if this is how Die Hard is, maybe it's not so terrible. But Gene has, like, he tries to do it all by himself at one point. Because everyone just, like, leaves and tries to go help the girl do her musical. And so he's literally just, like, half one face, the cop, and then the other half, he'd be, like, the cop on the outside that's like, hey, man, we're coming for you. Keep telling me stuff. Stuff like that. And then he has the big, like, dramatic fall scene at the very end when the main villain gets pushed out the window. Like, it cracked me up. So that was my previous information on Die Hard, was thanks to the lovely show Bob's Burgers.
So, well, let me ask the question I ask every week. What did you think of the actual movie? What did you think of Die Hard?
I had to take a nap during the middle of it. I'm not even going to lie.
No.
It wasn't that great. I might get a little bit of backlash for it because I know that it's like, super popular movie.
It is.
Especially for the people that, are 100% like, it's a Christmas movie. Okay, it's a movie based in Christmas. Let's be real. But either way, you can call it what you want. There's just so much gun action that I was like, what am I watching?
That's true. It is. It is. This is very much the prototype that a lot of action movies were based off of. Like after this,
I can believe it.
We have everything. We have guns and explosions, and we blow up every vehicle in this movie at one point, or every like version of a vehicle in this movie. We blow up cop cars, we blow up helicopters, we blow up a assault vehicle. I mean, we blow up a bottom of a building, a top of a building. Yippee-ki-yay. We do everything. Yeah, it's, you know what? I think I kind of understand that if you weren't kind of into these movies, or if this movie didn't hit you at the right time when you were a kid, I can see how you just wouldn't be into movies like this.
Yeah. I mean, I did watch like a lot of action movies growing up because that's like my grandfather's favorite thing to watch. But I think this one was a little too much action. I think it's also like the reason that I don't like movies like The Terminator. Like, stuff like that, if it's just constant, I get lost in it. Because I'm just like, where's the dialogue? Everyone's just shooting constantly.
Well, yeah, and I did make a point at like, because I've started looking at kind of timestamps, like when stuff really starts going along. And there is a point about 30 minutes into this movie where it just starts giving you action upon action upon action, and then once we hit the hour mark, it is just nonstop. Like, we just don't even have dialogue anymore.
Right.
It's just I think somewhere around that hour mark was when he blows out like the entire bottom of the building, and then from that point on, it's just machine guns, and we're doing the Die Hard.
Yeah.
This is the best way. Is the best way to describe it. You know, and
So what are
what's
your
that?
feelings on Die Hard?
I enjoyed it. I liked it very much. I won't say that quite that I loved it, but this movie is this is a dumb fun movie for me. I can sit here and watch this a lot. Like if it was on that, if it would be on that TNT TBS loop, it would be something where I'd be like, oh, Die Hard's on, cool, and I would have it playing in the background all weekend. This this is my jam. I am not dumb enough to not say that this movie does not. I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of like the prototype for all these other movies because I don't feel like we can have Terminator or more specifically Terminator 2 without this movie. In a lot of like these 80s action assault on an office building type movies
Yeah.
Without this movie. But this is the best version of those movies with the exception of maybe like Terminator 2, but that's kind of a little bit different. But this to me, I enjoy this movie immensely. So I've seen it a lot. I mean, and the only reason like Die Hard 3 to me is a little bit better, but only because it has Sam Jackson in it.
They have more than one Die Hard?
Oh, they got like 6 of them.
Oh, good God.
They
I
got
love
like,
that.
I mean, Die Hard was one of those movies that once they started like the naming conventions, it's, they kind of, I mean, again, like the proto meme, whereas like you got Die Hard 2, Die Harder, Die Hard 3 with a Vengeance, Live Free or Die Hard. What's the I'll look it up so I get it. But they
Nice.
all like the names just start getting more
Just
and more
ridiculous, yeah.
ridiculous.
Love that. Honestly, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, but a movie that I feel like they probably based it off of Die Hard, just being in that like it's actiony, but it is still definitely Christmas. We want to make sure that you know it's Christmas. Is the Arnold Schwarzenegger Jingle All the Way? Have you ever watched that?
I haven't watched that in years.
It's my grandfather's favorite movie ever. This man will watch it so many times during the Christmas season, but he also just watches it year round. So, like, as I was watching this, I was like, I could totally see, like, if they took away just, like, a little bit of guns, threw in some, like, ha ha ha, here's some family dynamic stuff, it'd just basically be, like, a more, pumped up version of Jingle All the Way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the joke about this is about how it's a Christmas movie. As much as it pains me to say it, it's not a Christmas movie. I mean, this
I
movie
mean, there's so many movies that you could be like, is this a Christmas movie? It technically has Christmas in it. Like Harry Potter. They play Harry Potter movies all the time during the year. They're like, especially like ABC Family, they would play that stuff nonstop. It's like, here, have Harry Potter weekend. Ooh, here's a week where we just solely play Harry Potter. Halloween's coming, Harry Potter. Christmas is coming, well, Harry Potter takes place during Christmas as well, duh. Like movies like that, you can
Yeah.
say that they're Christmas movies, but I wouldn't say it is.
Well,
But I mean, I guess we'll have that debate soon enough on another movie that we'll be watching. So, but we can talk about that later on.
okay. Alan Rickman. I gotta give props to my boy Alan Rickman. Hans
Love
Gruber.
it.
I listen. Bruce Willis. You can say what you want about Bruce Willis. He is kind of a known jerk to work with. The inverse of that is Alan Rickman. I've never heard a bad thing about Alan Rickman. I think he gives the performance that catapulted his career from just kind of a small time actor to mainstream major film actor. I think Hans Gruber is an iconic villain, and he just acts it's just so great. And fun film fact, I think I learned this from the Netflix series, The Movies That Made Us. The part where Hans Gruber falls off the building, that reaction that Alan Rickman gives is 100% genuine, because they didn't tell him when they were going to release him from the rig that dropped him into the airbag below. So he thought that he was going to try to fire off a round before they dropped him, and he's like, I don't know, 20 feet up in the air. So as he pulls the gun out, getting ready to shoot, and it lets go, that is a genuine, like, oh shit reaction from him.
Dude,
So
I don't blame him. That was stuff like that always makes me nervous. When I'm just like, even though I'm watching it and I'm like, this is a movie, I have such a fear of heights that I'm like, ugh. So I can only just imagine just being on that end and being like, now wait just 1 second. Nobody gave me the cue, and y'all just gonna let me fucking drop. All right. But yeah, Alan Rickman was really good in this movie. He carried his role so well, and he was just like stone face, just, we're here, we're doing a job, let's get it done. Like, honestly, I feel like he might have channeled this character when he was playing Snape sometimes. Like, I feel like there's no way that he wasn't like, all right, let's bring it back.
yeah, he did so. Oh man, he was so good in this movie. He for sure was. My dog is snoring behind me.
Oh, bless.
Okay. But yeah, no, he does. He performs a lot. I love him. I love him. I love him. I wish he was still around so I could see him in more things.
I know.
So.
Oh,
man. All right. Anything else Die Hard you want to talk about?
Nah, man, you just know. Just big explosions, guns, guns, guns.
It's a
Save the girl.
It's a very loud movie.
It was. I constantly had to turn my volume down anytime, like, they were doing big action scenes, and then it would be like, they'd start talking, but it was like the quietest dialogue, so you have to like turn it all the way back up. But,
I think.
Yeah.
I think like if this movie would have been made today, it 100% would be a Michael Bay film. It would have like all these swooping camera shots and more explosions and, you know, a cooler soundtrack and all that stuff. One thing I did notice, this movie came out in what, 1988. Okay, so it came out in 1988. Presumably they filmed it in 1987. We'll just say that. The cab driver or the limo driver at the beginning, he's like, "Hey man, you know, look at this cool limo we got, man. We got cassettes and we got CDs and all this." And I was like,
CDs nuts.
CDs? Like you had CDs in a car in you know, the late 80s? Because if you bought, I remember.
Yeah, it was tapes.
Yeah, but I remember in 1990. Yeah, 1990, when Chris's mama. This is 2 years before Chris was born. I remember when Chris's mom got a CD player. My dad got her a CD player for Christmas. And I know that thing was expensive. Mm-hmm. And if you even looked at it sideways, it skipped. I can't even imagine having a CD player in a car in the late 80s. Like you couldn't even, oh man. That thing had to have skipped all the time.
Oh. Just chilling back there, and you're just constantly like, "Hey, man, just turn the music off at this point."
Yeah. Just put on the radio, or just put in a cassette or something. So. All right.
Cars with cassettes. Good days.
All right. Well, let's wrap this episode up and let's talk about the things that have made us happy this week.
Do you want to go first?
No, I would like for you to go first because
Oh.
I'm just going to talk. I've had a big week.
You're in the spirit of giving, of course. 'Tis the season. Alrighty. Well, this week, I had originally put in my notice last Friday for Regal because I was like, I can't work 60 to 70-hour weeks anymore. Also, I want to be able to potentially go home on the weekends. So, my first bit of good news was the fact that they were like, you know what? If you stay because you're not one of the stupid employees, we'll just cut your hours back. And I was like, 2 days. And they were like, fine. So that in itself made me so much happier to just have that little extra pocket cash because I feel like since I'm in the area where it does snow a lot, people will stop bringing their dogs in as much, even though I'm going to hate it when spring comes and I have to shave down every single dog I see because their dogs are coated in mats because they let them play in the snow. At least I'll have a little side job to just keep me afloat. But the best part of my week was actually today. Today, we did Santa photos for dogs.
I saw that.
And it was the best time. Most of the employees were like, nah, I don't want to sign up for it. It's going to be so hectic. I had the time of my life just sitting there taking photos of these cute dogs. People were bringing them in sweaters and the cute little collars and stuff. And most of the dogs reacted to Santa super good, which is just one of our daycare people. So we had some of our dogs that come to daycare and they would look at him and be like, what the heck is this? And then they'd smell him and be like, oh, I know this guy. He's not so terrible. And then like some of our groom dogs came in and I was very excited for that. But we had so many people come and it was just great to have like a new influx of potential like clients and stuff that could come to daycare, that could come to grooming. But I saw so many cute dogs, and that's all I ever care about is just cute puppies.
That's awesome. Yeah, the pictures you posted were wonderful.
Yeah.
I love the ones. There's one in particular. I think you said his name was Arlo,
Arlo is one of our daycare dogs.
where he took a couple pictures, and then the last one you took of him, it looked like he was just right in front of the camera, just a big ahoo. Like
He was.
he was just having a good time.
Arlo is actually one of our singers. Anytime they like go on the roof, and especially if like police sirens or the emergency vehicles go past, he is the first one to start. Ooh, he's so sweet. But yeah, Arlo's a good boy.
It looked super fun. A lot of good. I almost stole them and put them on Reddit for karma. It was great.
Next week I get to do it all over again, and I'm just as excited.
That's awesome.
So, tell me about what made you happy this week.
Well, Wednesday. Well, first off, Wednesday was a big day because it was my birthday,
Birthday.
and that started my vacation. So not only was I off of work, I don't have to go back to work until January. So that's
Nice.
great. I got I got a bunch of new shorts which I needed because I've lost a bunch of weight this year. So that I've needed some new clothes that aren't quite as fat, and I got some of that. But I've already gotten my new gaming chair that came 2 weeks early.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told everyone about that on the podcast earlier a couple weeks ago. But I fashion myself as a collector. I don't necessarily collect like specific things, but if I find something that I want, then I'm like, cool, I'm going to try to get that thing. I've gone out and I've gotten like one of what I call the crown jewel in my collection of things is this big Donald Duck Darth Maul statue with like the big light up base and the lightsaber lights up, and I think it's from like 2011 when no 2010 from when Disney, before they bought Lucasfilm, would do like these collaboration efforts with Star Wars, and they make these big figures, and it was a whole thing. And there's a whole series of Disneyfied Star Wars characters, like there's a Goofy, Darth Vader, whatever. The Donald Duck Darth Maul, I heard about it, tried to get it, couldn't get it, tried to find it for years and couldn't find it, and then one day I was scouring eBay and I saw it. And I was like, oh, shit, I found it. And I called Kelly up and I said, hey, I found it. And she goes, get it? I said, man, I don't know because it's so expensive. She said, you'll never find it again.
Right.
Especially for that price. So I got it, and she's right. I've never been able to find it again for that price. This one guy's been trying to sell for $1,200. He's been trying to sell that one for years, and no one's bought it. I didn't pay anywhere near that. I didn't even pay anywhere near half of that for mine.
Ooh, nice.
But I say all this to say, I'd been telling the kids, as anyone who knows me, that I love The Lost Boys, the movie. We talked about this on episode 1. I love The Lost Boys. I found out they made some Funko Pops of the cast of The Lost Boys, and they were cool and fine and dandy and whatever. And I was like, oh, man, these are pretty cool. I'll have to pick these up one day. And then I found out they made a special one that was only exclusive to Target, and it was a vampire version of the Kiefer Sutherland character, David. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I want that. Well, of course, once I found out about it, it was like a year after they'd been released, and I couldn't find them anywhere in any local Target. And they were price gouging them online. They were selling them for way much more money than I was wanting to spend. Well, Alice went to work. Ooh. Alice was like, I'm sitting here getting ready to open this present up, and she was like, I got you something. It's the best gift ever. I'm like, okay. Thinking it's going to be like some Shrek or some Peppa Pig type stuff because that's the quirky stuff that she's into right now. I opened it up and I saw it. And as soon as I'm like, oh my God, where did you get this? And Kelly was filming the whole time. So I'm sure she has a picture of me like for real losing my shit because this was really great. And when my initial reaction, she looks over at Kelly. She's like, I told you he'd like it. So I have the vampire David Lost Boys. Nice. I don't know where they found it. I don't know how much they paid for it. I don't care.
Don't ask, don't tell. It's all good.
Right. It's wonderful. It's been up there. I love it so much. It makes me so happy. On top of that, I have been playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Sapphire Pearl. When we did our Pokemon episode, Chris was like, oh, you need to play Pokemon. And I was like, which one do I need to play? And I went and tried to play the original. And honestly, I was just like, I don't like it.
Yep.
Because I was playing on a Game Boy emulator, and it was just like little quality of life things. It was just getting me upset. So I went and downloaded another game, and I was playing Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And I am more than halfway through with the game now. So I got me a good set of Pokemons that are running around the region with me, and we are steadily kicking ass and taking names. So
very nice. Very nice. Yes.
And that is what is making me... Oh, and me and Kelly bought a couch yesterday. So, big things happening this week. So, yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Is it a comfy couch?
Yeah, it took a lot of... Because Kelly wanted one thing and I wanted another, and we kind of had to meet in the middle somewhere. We ended up finding a couch that we both liked. And that worked out really, really good. We will eventually add on more into our living room, furniture buying process, but that'll probably be in the next couple months or so.
Yeah.
Buy another chair, buy a little ottoman or futon or something, or not a futon. Yeah, ottoman, I guess, is the only word. Little ottoman thing to, put our feet up on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very much it. A lot of walking in there, people are like, "Oh, what can we help you with?" And I'm like, "I want a couch, but I don't want." I couldn't say this to the people, but when we went, me and Alice one day went to a furniture store, and we just started sitting in couches, and I was like, I don't want a white people sitting couch. She was like, "What does that mean?" I said, I've only seen this in white people's house, where there's like a room that is like a dining room or a living room that no one sits in. It's there strictly for show. And there's a couch in there that's uncomfortable. It's unsittable. You sit in, it's super stiff. It's usually overly ornate or decorated for some reason. No one sits in it. I don't want a couch like that. I want a couch that I can sit in. I can lay in it sideways. I can, if I fall asleep on it, I'm not going to wake up,
the biggest crick in your neck. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I was looking for. And me and Alice were just walking around, and we'd sit in couches, and I'm like, no. This feels like a white people sitting room couch. We can't sit in this. And but Kelly was looking for a white people sitting room couch. So we had to kind of like meet in the middle somewhere. And we did. We got a nice comfy couch. And it's not like completely like you sink all the way to the floor, but it's definitely not super stiff. We got a sectional. It's great. I think it's going to be awesome. So.
Sweet.
So yeah.
All
right. Well, tell everybody where they can find you on the social medias.
Can find my regular self on the old Instagram at That's a Raven Ellis. There's some underscores underneath all of those, and Twitter it's the spooky _ Raven. You can find our podcast on Nerd for No Reason as well on the Twitters and the Instagrams. Where are they finding you at, Mark?
You can find me at Turtles Do It on both the Twitters and the Instagrams. I will try to be better about updating our Twitter feed with more fun stuff and Instagram. Just because, I feel like I'm slacking in my social media duties for the show accounts.
Come on, man. Gotta pep it up.
Yeah, I know, right?
We'll throw a little spice in your life.
Yeah.
A little photo here, a little silly tweet there. We'll find some stuff.
Yeah.
It's a balance.
All right. Well, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Make sure you tune in next week where we start talking movies. And we start talking our favorite 2022 movies and our favorite movies we're excited to see, because there is a lot of them that are coming out in the first half of next year that I can't wait to talk about. And I've watched a bunch of good movies this year too. So I think it's going to be fun. And with that, you guys go out and do something wonderful in the world.
Guys, go and take all your contents, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.